Okay, so maybe we can't actually go on vacation, but that doesn't mean we can't explore new places to discover. So come with me as I journey across all 7 continents and read the best literature these countries have to offer. Come join me as we go around the world in 325 days. Today is a gray and gloomy day. I have been curled up in my unmade bed, reading Lord of the Rings, eating leftover spaghetti, smelling amazing atmospheric candles. I have currently lit right now the Book Lovers soy candles. They're some of my favorites. They're a little on the pricey side, but they're so good. Such specific scents. But the one I have right now is Rainy Day Reads, and it is fresh rain, ginger, and lavender. That concoction is so good. But because today is a gray and a little chilly day today in the middle of July, I decided that we should do a video about books set in much warmer climes than right now. Typically where I live, it is very hot in the summer, so I'm just in the mood for some sunshine. And so I decided we're going to do another installment of Around the World in 325 Days. And we have traveled to North America and South America, and this time we're headed to Europe. I mean, who doesn't want to be on the French Riviera in the middle of summer? Several of these books I have been waiting to get to for the first half of the year. I'm really excited. We have some chonkers, and we have, I think some are going to be some quick reads. And we have, I think, a good mix of pretty much everything. So I'm really excited to share them with you. So let's just get started. We're just going to start off with one of the ones that I'm most excited for. We're going to go to Italy with The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. This takes place in the early 14th century, and it is about a group of Franciscan monks, I think. Yeah. There is an Italian abbey that is accused of heresy, and William, who's the main character, is sent to go investigate what is happening in this abbey. And while he is there, 7 deaths occur, and so he is sent on a detective mission to figure out who did it. And while he's there, he stumbles on conspiracy and secrets, and it's so much like a combination of the Da Vinci Code and National Treasure, but set in the 14th century in Italy. And I don't know what's better than that, to be honest. I'm a big sucker for that kind of adventure, mystery, clue, puzzle solving, that kind of thing. It's my favorite. My mouth waters literally every time I think about it. So I'm really excited. And this is a country and a period of time that I have not read a lot about. So I'm really excited to learn more about Italian culture. I hope that that's pretty heavily featured in here. So I'm really excited. I've never read anything by Umberto Eco before, so I'm really excited to see how this one goes. After Italy, we are heading to Spain with The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And interestingly enough, this guy has been compared to Umberto Eco, who wrote The Name of the Rose. They're very similar, so I'm really excited. But this takes place, I think, very soon after World War II has ended in Barcelona. And who's the main character? Daniel, who is an antiquarian, I don't know what the word is for someone who does antiques. But he's a rare book dealer, basically, a bookseller. And he discovers The Shadow of the Wind by this very rare author, and so he decides to hunt down more of the work by the author, I think. Yeah, and so as he's hunting down this author's other works, he discovers that someone has been systematically destroying them. And again, he is launched into this sort of mystery of what's happening. I don't know if anybody dies. Oh yeah, sorry. There is murder in here, but Secrets of Barcelona, a fantastic forbidden history. Again, very similar, I think, to Name of the Rose in terms of plot. It's much shorter, maybe about half the size of, maybe a little more than that, of Name of the Rose. But I'm really excited because, again, this is just the kind of thing, rare books, mystery surrounding them. It looks so atmospheric. Like, on the back is just a foggy lamppost, and what else does a foggy lamppost conjure up in your mind except, you know, Sherlock Holmes and murder mysteries? And oh, such dark academia vibes I'm getting from this book. It wouldn't be a European themed book read if we didn't include the United Kingdom, the mother of Europe. Don't tell any other countries I said that. But this is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I have heard of this, but I have never picked it up or read anything by Zadie Smith before. They're like the sort of treasure hunt thriller. There are quite a few life-affirming books or slice of life books in this particular section, or like section of this challenge, I mean. So I'm really excited because I don't really read a whole lot of those. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary fiction or the coming of age fiction where it's just about someone's life. It's never something that I'm really motivated to pick up. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's just because I haven't read a lot of good ones. But this follows 3 families who are from 3 different cultures, and it's over 3 generations. I just finished a book called Lynn from the Carolinas, all about the Bahamas, about 7 generations of one family. And again, that would be considered a very early version of like slice of life genre, but nothing really happened. It was just telling the family's history, which was interesting, don't get me wrong, but there was never like a big climax moment, so I'm hoping that there is with this one. There's, you know, friendship, love, war, what else is here? They call it ankle biting. So there's humor and romance, and I'm really excited. It's riotous. So that's really all they give you on the description. Dazzling, beguiling, street smart, sassy, raucous energy. I love that. So I'm really excited. I'm kind of hoping that it'll be a good, funny read. So again, this takes place in the UK, but you know, London in particular is such a hotbed for different cultures. There's so much blending of lifestyle and religion and culture and food, and so I'm kind of hoping that it'll be a little bit more like that and talk about the diversity of the UK's central hub. So I'm hoping that this one is really good. Next, we are heading to Greece, another popular summer destination, with Zorba the Greek by Nikos Kazantzakis. I probably did not say that right. But again, this is the new translation version, but this is another sort of slice of life, life-affirming type of story. This follows the story of Zorba, who is a cerebral mine owner, no idea what that is, and his foreman, and sort of the experiences through their lives between the material and the immaterial, spiritual and material worlds. And so I think he's going to meet a whole lot of really interesting characters. It talks about on the back that there are mad monks in a mountain monastery. Alliteration, my goodness. Past adventures, making love to save his soul. Basically just about, you know, the joys and sorrows of living, I think told from his perspective. So I'm really excited. I haven't read a lot about Greece either. I love Greek mythology, but nothing about, you know, present day living in Greece. So a lot of people have called this timeless. It has great reviews on the back. So again, I sometimes get a little scared when it's a translation, because the one downside to reading translated books, which I think people should do, get your hands on literature from other countries, but I think sometimes some things just don't translate. There's such a beauty to other languages that doesn't translate into English, and so I'm hoping that there won't be a whole lot of that I won't miss something particularly beautiful just because I can't speak or read Greek. But I'm hoping that whoever did this did a really good job and that we're still able to get the essence of the story. So I will let you know about my review of this book, and if any of you speak Greek or have read this in Greek, please let me know, because I would love to know how passages in this compare to the original language. Next, we are reading something that has been on my personal TBR for forever, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. We of course have to go to Germany if we're going to go tour Europe. So much history there, and this does take place during World War II, and this follows Liesel, who finds the gravedigger's handbook in the snow after her brother's funeral, and she takes it, and this begins her sort of career of book thievery. I'm assuming this has a lot to do with all of the material and art that the Nazis confiscated. I don't necessarily know if this is like a Fahrenheit 451 situation. I don't know how much policing of material the Nazis did in terms of what people were allowed to read, whether they went as far as, you know, communist Russia in terms of banned books. I don't know, but obviously I know how popular this book is. I think this also has to do with her family hiding, a Jewish man in their basement. So the Holocaust is obviously a hugely difficult topic to read about, and I spent a lot of time earlier in the year reading a lot of books on the subjects of slavery, and so, you know, it's going to be deep and dark material, which, you know, has always to be taken with a grain of salt and interspersed with some lighter stuff. But this has been a book that so many people have talked about and have loved. My mom loved it. Several of her friends really enjoyed it. I think she actually got me this for Christmas or my birthday a few years ago. But I'm really excited to check this one off my list because, again, it's about books and that sort of banned foreign material that people have to find, and I'm really excited that there's like a Robin Hood-esque vibe that I'm getting from this. I don't know if that's accurate, that's just my impression. That's all they gave me in the description, but you know, again, so many good reviews. It's an international bestseller. How can you go wrong with that? Obviously, a lot of people love it. I'm hoping that I really enjoy it too. If you watched my exchanging books with my mom vlog we did for Mother's Day, except it came out in June, I read one of her favorite books by John Grisham, but she had mentioned that her other favorite author was Friedrich Bachmann. And so finally, because it happened to line up with this challenge, decided to pick up A Man Called Uwe by Friedrich Bachmann. We are going to Sweden. That is where this book is based, or the character is from. And this obviously follows the story of Uwe, who gives me very much Carl from Up vibes. A grumpy man, lives by himself, and then a boisterous young couple move in next door and make friends with him. And again, this is a life-affirming slice of life book. I am anticipating crying because so many people have said that I will weep openly. And I mean, there's a cat on the front. I just now noticed that there's a cat on the front. I've had this book on my shelf for nearly 2 months now, and I just noticed there's a beautiful cat on the front. I already know I'm gonna cry a lot. This book very much gives me vibes of one of my favorite foreign films called Kitchen Stories, where it takes place in this part of the world, but a kitchen design company is wanting to invent products that will make your time in the kitchen more efficient. And so they send out these observers to set up shop in people's kitchens and just track their patterns throughout the kitchen. Literally like have a printed layout of their kitchen and trace where they go in the kitchen, so that where do they spend the most time? How can we be more time efficient in what we invent? And so this man gets sent to this very old curmudgeon's house. And I'm assuming based on the movie, you know, there's supposed to be byplay between the observer and the family asking questions, but this guy at this house doesn't even perceive that that man is there, and gets very irritated and, you know, treats him like a nobody. And eventually, of course, there's a relationship that sparks up much like this. So that is a tearjerker of a movie, but it's so good. And it's completely silent. There's very little talking. It's all emotion and physical communication, and it's so good. But I'm really excited to read this one too, not just because I know it's good, but also, you know, it's one of my mom's favorites, and I love getting to know more about what she likes to read. Next, of course, we're going to France with Madame Bovary. This one has been on my to-read list, classics to-read list. Again, sorry, there's something in my eye, for a really long time. I love the name Emma. It's one of my favorite names. But this follows Emma Bovary, who is the wife of a doctor. Oh, I should say, this is by Gustave Flaubert, in case anyone wanted to know. But this follows the story of Emma Bovary, who is the wife of a doctor, and she hates it. It's so boring. And so she decides to embark, much like Anna Karenina, on many a love affair in order to bring passion to her life. And, you know, it's all about the tragedy and the love and the excitement that she experiences, and then of course having to go back to the banality of her life as a doctor's wife. It is a tragedy. It's all about self-destruction. Again, much like Anna Karenina, they're cut from the same cloth. Very different stories, but similar vibes in terms of the content. So I also got this in the Barnes & Noble Classics edition, which is my favorite way to read classics, because they do such an excellent job about writing forwards and providing study questions and footnotes and background information, and it changes how you view the story, often because it provides such insight into who wrote the book. I'm really excited to read this one. I love the beautiful oil painting on the front. It's so gorgeous. Most of the Barnes & Noble Classics editions have this. It's so gorgeous. I love it a lot. So again, really excited to check this one off my classic list. And it's about France. I've read so much French literature this year. It's insane. This is the one that I'm most nervous about. Again, where would we be in Europe if we didn't have Russia? It's so heavy. I did pick up War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Oh my goodness. It's so large. Again, this actually has a little more France in it than I was anticipating, but it follows 5 families during Napoleon's raid of Russia. And I think the 2 main characters, I'm just going to check the back, yeah, Prince Andrei Bolkonsky, and then Pierre Bezukhov. Basically, Andrei, who's the prince, is obviously a man of luxury, but he's wounded in battle, or yeah, in Austerlitz. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but he's wounded, and begins to discover the futility of, you know, the pomp and circumstance that filled his life as a royal. It gives me very much Ashes to Diamonds vibes, where it talks about Polish upper class and dealing with, you know, how their life was made irrelevant basically by World War II, by the stripping of all of the luxury that they had lived with. And then Pierre basically, you know, deals with all the philosophical stuff that fills Tolstoy's writing, how much, you know, wisdom affects your daily life and the simple truths that come out of simple living. Also, oh yeah, and then he's the one who has, I think, dealings with the heroine whose name is Natasha. But, you know, this is a huge book. There's so much happening. My mom read Crime and Punishment, I think, and she had to keep track of characters, and I had to do that with Ashes to Diamonds too, because the names were a lot, and there are so many characters that I think I'm just gonna have to keep a running list of who does what. But I do love Russian literature, but this I think is gonna take me so long. I even read the abridged version of Monte Cristo, and that took me nearly 3 months last year to finish that, and this is twice the size of that. So I'm excited, but I'm also terrified. The introduction is so long. So there are 3 more books to this challenge, to this section of the challenge, but 3 of them are found in my public library. And because I don't anticipate finishing these soon, particularly War and Peace, I don't want to check them out from the library and then keep them overdue for months and months and months in case someone else wants to read them. So I don't have them with me to show at this video, but I will just read you the synopses and put the title and author at the bottom of the screen so you can check them out if you want to. The first is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, and this takes place in Iceland. This one I think is going to be real interesting because it follows the story, the fictional account of a woman named Agnes, who is the last woman to be executed in Iceland. And she is being accused for the murder of 2 men, I believe. And so she and her accomplices are being held at a farm because Iceland doesn't have prisons. And so it's about the story of this one winter where she and her accomplices interact with the farmer and his family who don't want them there. And so they're basically trapped by the harsh winter of Iceland and are forced to interact. And so I think it's going to be a lot of conversation about capital punishment and probably some explanation as to if she is falsely accused, is she not, details about the murder, that kind of thing, and insight into the farmer's family, and I'm sure their opinions on this kind of thing. So again, it sounds very interesting. I have a feeling it's going to be very psychological, maybe even a little bit of a thriller. This is an interesting concept of a story, and I like that it's a fictional retelling of this event that happened. Next, we're going to go to Ireland with another psychological thriller, and that is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. This follows the story of Lib, who is a veteran of Florence Nightingale's nursing program, and she is sent to Ireland to this 11-year-old girl whose name is Anna. And like, people are calling her a miracle, and tourists are flocking to her because she believes that she's being fed by manna from heaven, and basically has lived without eating anything. And so Lib goes and discovers that she's the only person who can save her. There's something about evil in there. And so again, it's another psychological thriller about this concept of this miracle child. And I really like when children are involved well in books and they become the center point of the story, because there is such a unique way of storytelling through children's eyes. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to get a little bit of that. And the last book we're going to read for this section of the Around the World in 325 Days reading challenge is The Dinner by Herman Koch. I think is how you pronounce the last name? I don't know. But it's set in the Netherlands, and it follows 2 brothers, Paul and Sergei, who and their wives, who go to dinner, and at the dinner with their families, they discover, or this act is brought to light, this heinous thing that is done by their 15-year-old boys. And because of that, basically dinner explodes. And so there's a lot of treachery and exposure, and there's some obviously controversy between the 2 boys in the event that happened, but also between the brothers, and the drama and tension they have between each other because one is more successful than the other. And, you know, all it says is that the dinner has been arranged to discuss the horrifying act. So I don't know if it was arranged by the brothers and their wives, or if someone else is orchestrating it behind the scenes. But it sounds really good. It is a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of a mystery. There's something about thrillers in the summer that are just so good. So that one sounds so interesting. And when I was putting this particular part of the challenge together, immediately that was the first one, followed closely by The Name of the Rose, where I'm like, that is the one that I want to read the most out of all of these. There's some that I want to check off my list, like War and Peace and Madame Bovary, but the one that I'm craving reading is that one. So I'm really excited about that one as well. So there are 11 books in total for this part of the Around the World in 325 Days reading challenge. If you have read any of these, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on any of these books. Did you like them? Have you read other stuff by their authors? Did you not like them? Whatever you want. Tell me your thoughts and opinions. Is there one that you think I should read first? I have a few more on my other TBR that I have to get finished before I start these, but is there one that I need to start with? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and want to participate in this challenge, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to my channel because it really does help me out, and let me know what you guys want to see. And again, thank you to the friends and family who have readily supported me along this journey. It truly means the world to me, and I can't wait to see what's on the next page. Cheers.